Hello, everybody present in the panel. It's a great privilege to present my paper here. I am Shashwati De, Assistant Professor, St. Francis College for Women, Hyderabad. And the title of my paper is Tagore and Sister Nivedita, Kindness and Compassion in the Times of Pandemic. I'll start my paper with a quotation from Albert Camus. So, all a man could win in the conflict between plague and life was knowledge and memories. Now, I use this quotation because the atmosphere that Camus describes in his work Plague is uncannily similar with what is happening all around us today during the coronavirus pandemic. In this neoliberal era of globalization, guarded with a false security, humanity has almost become unaware that a pandemic, an epidemic, can be impending, and we are most unprepared to face a crisis of this order. As medical expertise fails to find a possible cure and people are suffering, the world awaits to be healed. In the wake of such a despair, the paper seeks to revisit Tagore's poem Upagupta and Sister Nivedita's article Plague from her studies from an Eastern home, and to understand the role of literature in the times of epidemics and pandemics. The paper focuses upon the core human values of life: kindness, compassion, and hope, reflected in the selected pieces. The text highlights the human spirit of resilience and faith amidst death and devastation caused by smallpox and plague. Tagore's poem Upagupta from the collection Kotha o Kahini delineates the physical and spiritual transformation of the beautiful danseuses Basavdatta through a chance encounter with the Buddhist ascetic Upagupta. His backdrop is 3rd century BC Mathura, and the town courtesan is described as very beautiful, drunk with the wine of a youth who comes accidentally in contact with the ascetic and invites him most politely to her place because she feels that the dusty roads of Mathura are no place for the handsome youth to spend his night. Upagupta denies any such invitation and assures her that he shall come along when the time is right. The scene shifts. It's almost a year, and the people of the village, the people of the town have all gone to celebrate the spring festivities. However, at the outskirts of the village lies ostracized, pestilence struck Basavdatta, her body covered in smallpox. Tagore describes, was that a woman lying at his feet in the shadow of a mango grove, struck with black pestilence, her body spotted with sores of smallpox, she had hurriedly removed from the town to avoid her poisonous contagion. Few words come extremely or become very, very pertinent here. Poisonous contagion, pestilence. Now, the history of smallpox traces itself to the 3rd century BC, and it was endemic to Europe, Asia, and the Arab world. Often, patients who recovered became blind and permanent pock marks in their bodies and faces. This poem is composed in the first decade of the 19th century when incidences of smallpox ravaged the Indian subcontinent and there was no vaccination. As Basavdatta's youth and beauty succumbed to the ugliness of pestilence, the austerely beautiful ascetic Upagupta, who has overcome temptation of flesh, comes to provide her respite. The ascetic sat by her side, took her head on his knees, moistened her lips with water, and smeared her body with sandal balm. Who are you, the merciful one? Asked the woman. The time at last has come to visit you, and I am here at last. The question of safety, contagion, strikes us and prompts us to question if it is wise to come close to dangerous proximity of the affected. The answer to this in the present circumstances is in the negative. Of course, we are not allowed to come in close proximity or contact. Social distancing is the order of the day. But the essence of Upagupta lies in the selfless care that humanity can extend and offer. The same tone of compassion and caregiving is meticulously recorded in Sister Nivedita's article plague from studies from an Eastern home. Born of Irish parentage, Margaret Noble had been inspired by Swami Vivekananda to come to India and work relentlessly for the welfare of women and people around her. In March 1899, a plague epidemic broke out in Kolkata. Inspired and guided by Vivekananda, Nivedita plunged into action to save the city. She formed a committee of dedicated workers from among the inspired youth who helped her to fight this menace. Sister Nivedita was no less a Florence Nightingale. Tagore hails her as the mother of the people. In the article Plague, young Sister Nivedita reminisces as to how she took care of a dying child affected by the deadly plague. She stands her steed knowing full well that the child shall succumb. She writes, when all was said and done, one was sitting there to watch a human being die, to watch without hope of saving. Yet she provides him comfort to his last breath. She also talks about the poor economic condition and the unfailing love of the mother for her child. A keen observer and an empathetic soul, she regrets as to how she had asked the mother to be away from her child as to avoid contagion. The description is heart-wrenching as Sister Nivedita remains tied between her scientific knowledge of caregiving, isolation and disinfection, and the pain that she feels for the mother. Poor mother, she went at once, crushed, broken-spirited. That was too much. The human touch that Sister Nivedita and Tagore uphold through their work is the need of the hour. Today, as the world goes through tremendous turmoil in the wake of coronavirus, it is imperative that the literature of past, of the troubled times, provide us the much needed assurance and a way to deal with the problems. With homes dislocated, people isolated all over the world, countries facing worst economic depression, literature as such never failed to inspire and ignite hope and restore faith. I shall end with a quote from Tagore: faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. Thank you.